Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and with pranams to all. Thank you all for joining in for our TLC study session. Let's start with prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Peshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ajanulambita Bhujau Kanakavatatau Sankirtanaicapitarau Kamalayatakshav Vishwambarau Divjavarau Yuvadharmapalau Vande Jagat Priyakarau Karunavatarau. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and with pranams to all. Let us jump into the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter number 30. Okay, volume is low. Okay, fine. It is increasing it. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in. Now this chapter number 30, is dealing with the transcendental pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So we'll not go into too much discussion on this subject matter because this is not a subject matter that even I can discuss. But if we just read what Prabhupada has to give on the transcendental mellows or the Madhurya Rasa between Radha and Krishna, we all know that राधा कृष्ण एक तनु है निधुवन माजे बंसी बजाए विश्व रूप के प्रभु जी सही आवत प्रकट ही नदिया में. So Radha Krishna एक तनु है, right? Radha and Krishna are one. Nidhuvana maje bansi bajaye, right? So when Krishna is playing the flute, right, Krishna wants to enjoy. So Krishna expands himself and Radharani comes out. And then Radha and Krishna engage in amorous pastimes, right? So Radharani is expansion of Krishna and Radharani, and they expanded to enjoy the transcendental pastimes. And whenever they want to join together, they join together as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So Radha and Krishna are one and the same. So we should, when we read the pastimes of teachings of Lord Chaitanya, especially the last 3 chapters, which are going to deal with Madhurya Ras, right? We have to be very clear that Radha and Krishna are non-different, right? What is that? Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya, right? Radha and Krishna, when they are together, then they are in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the form of a pure devotee of the Lord. And when they want to enjoy, then Krishna and Radharani expand. Krishna expands, right? His Antaranga Shakti, his Ladini Shakti is Srimati Radharani. So they come out, enjoy pastimes, and then they join together to become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we are studying these pastimes, you should understand that we are not going to look at it from a mundane perspective, right? Everything about the Lord. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So we are reading these pastimes as given by Srila Prabhupada, so that we get the right understanding of the transcendental appearance, the nature, and the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we misunderstand, then the very study of these transcendental topics can result in our devotional service becoming slower, or even can even cut the root of our devotional service. So, you have to be very careful what is our consciousness, right? Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tatsat. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Darale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. So in this consciousness, the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant, let us try to read and understand. We will not go into any description, right? Because whatever we need to know in this chapter, Prabhupada has given us very clearly. So we'll just go through that and then we will go on to the next chapter, right? So there's not much of explanation that is required because at least I'm not on the platform to even explain these transcendental pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But whatever we need to know, Prabhupada has given it with the right dose of philosophy. We'll try to read that and try to understand according to our limited abilities. All right. So let's, anyone wants to read? Okay, Sridhar Prabhu, go ahead. The transcendental pastimes of Radha and Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Dandavats Prabhu. Yes, go ahead.
Chapter 30, the transcendental pastime of Radha and Krishna. The difference between ordinary religious activities and devotional service is very great. By executing religious ritual, one can achieve economic development, sense gratification, or liberation, merging into existence of Supreme. But the result of transcendental devotional service are completely different from such temporary benefit. Devotional service of the Lord is evergreen and it is increasingly transcendently pleasing. Thus, there is a gulf of difference between the result of derived from devotional service and those derived from religious rituals. The great divine energy known as Jadasri or Mahamaya, the superintendent of material world and the material department direction, the demigod as well as the product of external energy of Supreme Lord are but prevented reflection of the oblence of Supreme Lord. The demigod are actually order carries of the Supreme Lord and they help manage to material creation. In Brahma Samhita 5.44.52.49, it is stated that the working of supremely powerful superintendent Durga are but shadow of working of the Supreme Lord, that the sun works just like eye of Supreme Lord and the Brahma works just like a jewel reflecting in the light of Supreme Lord. Thus, in the material world, all the demigods as well as external energy herself, Durga Devi and all the different departmental directors are but servant of the Supreme Lord. In the spiritual world, there are another energy, the superior spiritual energy or internal energy known as Yoga Maya. She also works under the Lord direction, but in the spiritual world, when the living entity puts himself under the direction of Yoga Maya instead of Mahamaya, he gradually becomes a devotee of Krishna. On the other hand, those who are after material opulence and material happiness place themselves under the care of material energy, Mahamaya, or under the care of material demigod like Lord Shiva. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is found that when the gopis of Vrindavana desired Krishna as their husband, they prayed to the spiritual energy, Yogamaya, for the fulfillment of their desire. In the Saptasadi, it is found that King Surada and the merchant named as Samadhi, being under the mode of material nature, worship Mahamaya for material opulence. Thus, one should not mistakenly equate Yoga Maya with Mahamaya. Because of Lord is on the absolute platform, there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Supreme Lord himself. There are many different names of the Supreme Lord, such as Paramatma, the Super Soul, Brahman, the Supreme Absolute, Srishtikara, the Creator, Narayana, the Transcendental of Lord, Rukmani Ramana, the husband of Rukmani, Gopinatha, the enjoyer of gopis, and Krishna. In this way, the Lord has different names, and these names indicate different functions. The aspects of Supreme Lord as the creator is different from his aspect as Narayana. Some of the names of the Lord as the creator are conceived by the materialistic man. One cannot fully realize the essence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by understanding his name as the creator, because this material creation is the function of external energy of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the conception of Lord as the creator includes only the external future. Similarly, when we call the Supreme Lord Brahman, we cannot have any understanding of his six opulences. In Brahman realization, the six opulences are not realized in full, nor it is their recognition to eternity bliss, eternity, bliss and knowledge. Therefore, Brahman realization is also not a complete understanding of the Supreme Lord, nor is Paramatma realization. Realization of the Supreme Super Soul, full realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for all the pervading nature of the Supreme Lord is but a partial representation of his opulence.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Dandavat Pranam. Vadanti tat tattvavidar tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Right, the three levels of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we already discussed at length in the previous chapters itself, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was explaining, right, to Sarvabhattacharya, to Keshav Kashmiri, right. So the three levels of realization are Brahman, that means the effulgence is the bodily effulgence of the Lord is what pervades, right? That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Natat bhashyate shuryo na shashanko na pavakaha. Right? In the spiritual world, there's no need for an external light. Why? Because the body of the Lord only emerges that light or the effulgence, which is the Brahman realization, which is the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. And Paramatma is the Kshirodakashai, the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in the form of the super soul in our heart. But ultimately, the source of both the Brahman as well as the Paramatma is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. And then in this material world, there is Mahamaya, there is Durga Devi who's in charge. She's a fortress. She's in charge of this fort. And we are Jiva Tattvas. That's why we call Tatastha Shaktis. That means sometimes we are inclined towards serving the internal energy of the Lord, Yoga Maya, or sometimes we are inclined to serving the external energy of the Lord, Mahamaya. Right? So in this way, as we sway, right, the more we are serving the internal energy of the Lord, the more we'll be advancing in devotional service. We'll be under the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Yoga Maya. And Mahamaya is Durga Devi. She continuously puts us into tests. And also by passing those tests, also we try to become better in our devotional service. We pass one test, then we'll come to the next test, which is a more advanced test, which shows that we are slowly advancing in Krishna consciousness like that. Okay, let's continue to read. Okay, Leelanandini Mataji, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Even the transcendental relationship experienced by devotee of Narayana in Vaikuntha is incomplete because devotees in that relationship cannot realize the relationship between Krishna and his devotees in Goloka Vrindavana. The devotees of Krishna do not relish devotional service to Narayana because devotional service to Krishna is so attractive that Krishna's devotees do not desire to worship any other form. Thus, the gopis of Vrindavana do not like to see Krishna as Rukmini Ramana, the husband of Rukmini, nor do they address him by that name. In Vrindavana, Krishna is addressed as Radha Krishna, the property of Radharani. Although the names Rukmini Ramana and Radha Krishna are on the same level in the ordinary sense, still in the spiritual world, these names indicate different understandings of various aspects of Krishna's transcendental personality. If one equates the names Radha Ramana or Radha Krishna with Rukmini Ramana, Narayana, or any other name of the Supreme Lord, he commits the fault of overlapping tastes, which is technically called Rasabhasa. Those who are expert discriminating devotees do not accept such amalgamations, which are against the conclusions of pure devotional service. Less intelligent men think such discrimination is by God tree. Although Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, embodies all super excellence and beauty when he is among the damsels of Vraja, where he is known as Gopijana Vallabha. Devotees feel that his super excellence and beauty have reached the highest perfection stage. The devotees cannot relish the beauty of the Supreme Lord more than this. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.33.6, it is confirmed that although Krishna, the son of Devaki, is the last word in super excellence and beauty, when he is among gopis, he appears even more beautiful, like a sublime jewel set among divine golden craftsmanship. Although Lord Chaitanya accepted this as the highest realization of the Supreme Lord as conjugal lover, he nonetheless requested Ramananda Raya to proceed further. Upon hearing
Hare
this,
Krishna.
thank you,
Hare
Haribol
Bol.
Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah, so when we are studying this particular chapter, especially, you should understand that, even Jaya Radhe Jai Krishna, that song also comes. Parakiya bhave jaha brajete prachar. Right? So Rukmini, Krishna is Swakiya bhav. Right? Both of them are Madhurya Ras only. Right? Rukmini and Krishna is Swakiya bhav, where Rukmini is the wife of Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna went and abducted and married Rukmini, isn't it? We know that pastime. And Radha and Krishna, it is Parakiya Bhav. That means they are never officially married like that, right? And this Parakiya Bhav is said to be the highest level of rasa in the spiritual world. This is only a discussion we will do. The rest of the chapter we just read. But we only understand that this Parakiya Bhav, that is boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, is the highest in the spiritual world, but that is considered most abominable in this material world, right? In this material world, where if a boy and girl are living together, if they are not married, that is considered the lowest level, right? That's not even considered authorized. That's considered illegal, isn't it? But that's why Urdu Moolam Adaha Shakam, right? This material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, right? In the spiritual world, Krishna is the source of all the gopis, Krishna is the source of Radharani, Krishna is the source of Rukmini Devi, Krishna is the source of all of us also, all the living entities also. So somebody serving Krishna, right? Whether wedded to Krishna or not married to Krishna does not matter, because everyone exists for the pleasure of Krishna only. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Britya. Everyone else is the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So we cannot equate whatever we're going to read now with our material understanding of what we see as boyfriend and girlfriend. It is completely transcendental. Otherwise, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who's Krishna, who's come in the mood of the greatest devotee Srimati Radharani, would not be contemplating and speaking on this. Ramananda Rai would not be talking about this as the highest level of devotional service, right? If at our current level we are not able to understand the transcendence of this entire subject matter, we will just go through this theoretically, praying to Prabhupada for the right understanding of this transcendental subject matter, right? So, on this, with this consciousness, let's continue. Yeah. Rajanish Prabhu, go ahead. Upon hearing this request, Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam.
Upon hearing this request, Ramananda remarked that this was the first time he had been asked to go further and then the gopis' relationship with Krishna in the matter of understanding Krishna. Ramananda went on to say that although there is certainly transcendental intimacy between the damsels of Braj and Krishna, out of all the relationships, the relationship between Radharani and Krishna in conjugal love is the most perfect. No common man can understand the transcendental flavor of the transcendental love between Krishna and the gopis. What to speak of the ecstasy of transcendental love between Krishna and Radharani. But if one tries to follow in the footsteps of the gopis, he may become situated in the highest stage of transcendental love. Thus, one who wants to be elevated to the transcendental stage of perfection should follow in the footsteps of themselves of Braj as an assistant maid servant of the gopis. Lord Chaitanya exhibited the mood of Srimati Radharani when she contacted Krishna at Kurukshetra after he had come from Dwarka. Such transcendental love is not possible for any common man. Therefore, one should not intimate this highest perfectional stage exhibited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but if one desires to be in that association, he may follow in the footsteps of the gopis. In the Padam Purana, it is stated that just as Radharani is dear to Krishna, similarly the pond known as Radha Kund is also very dear to him. And Radharani is dearer to Krishna than all other gopis. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.30.28, it is also stated that Radharani and the gopis render the highest perfection, loving service to the Lord, and that the Lord is so pleased with them that he does not wish to leave the company of Srimati Radharani. When Lord Chaitanya heard
We'll ask Sudha Mataji to continue. Sudha Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandat Pranam.
Pranam.
When Lord Chaitanya heard Ramananda Rai speak of the loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani, he said, "Please go further, go on and on." The Lord also said that he was enjoying with great relish the descriptions of the loving affairs between Krishna and the gopis. "It is as if a river of nectar is flowing from your lips," he said. Ramananda Rai continued by saying that when Krishna danced among the gopis, he thought, "I am not giving any special attention to Radharani," because among the other gopis, Radharani was not so much an object of special love. Krishna stole her away from the arena of the Ras dance and showed her special favor. After explaining this to Lord Chaitanya, Ramananda Rai said, "Now let us relish the transcendental loving affairs between Krishna and Radha. These have no comparison in this material world." Thus, Ramananda Rai continued by saying that during the Rasa dance, Radharani suddenly left the arena as if she were very angry that no special favor was being shown to Krishna was desirous of seeing Radharani in order to fulfill the purpose of the Rasa dance, but not seeing Radharani there, he became very sorrowful and went to search her out. In the Gita Govinda, there is a nice verse which states that Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, wanted to be entangled in loving affairs with women and thus simply took Radharani into his heart and left the company of the other damsels of Braja. The next verse describes how Krishna was very much afflicted by Radharani's absence and being thus distressed in mind, began to search her out along the banks of the Yamuna. Failing to find her, he entered the bushes of Vrindavana and began to lament. Ramananda Roy pointed out that someone who discusses the purport of these two special verses of the Gita Govinda 3.1 and 2 can relish the highest nectar of Radha and Krishna's loving affairs. Although there were many gopis to dance with, Krishna especially wanted to dance with Radharani. In the Rasa dance, Krishna expanded himself and placed himself between every two gopis, but he was specially present with Radharani. However, Radharani was not pleased with Krishna's behavior. As described in the Ujjvala Neelamani, the path of loving affairs is just like the movement of a snake. Among young lovers, there are two kinds of mentality, causeless and causal. Thus, when Radharani left the arena of the Rasa dance out of anger at not receiving special treatment, Krishna became very sad because he could not see her among the other gopis. The perfection of the Rasa dance was considered complete due to Radharani's presence, and in her absence, Krishna considered the dance to be disrupted. Therefore, he left the arena to search her out. When he could not find Radharani after wandering in several places, he became very distressed. Thus, it is understood that Krishna could not enjoy his pleasure potency even in the midst of all the other gopis, but in the presence of Radharani, he was satisfied. When this transcendental love between Radharani and Krishna was described by Ramananda Rai, Lord Chaitanya said, "I came to you to understand the transcendental loving affairs between Krishna and Radha, and now I am very satisfied that you have described them so nicely. I can understand from your version that the highest loving state is that between Krishna and Radha." Yet Lord Chaitanya still requested Ramananda Rai to explain something more. What are the transcendental features of Krishna and Radharani? And what are the transcendental features of the reciprocation of their feelings? And what is the love between them? If you kindly describe all this to me, I will be very much obliged. Except for you, no one can describe such things. I do not know anything, Ramananda Rai replied in all humility. I am simply saying what you are causing me to say. I know that you are Krishna himself, yet still you are relishing hearing about Krishna from me. Therefore, please excuse me for my faulty expression. I am just trying to express whatever you are causing me to express. I am a Mayavadi sannyasi, Lord Chaitanya protested. I have no knowledge of the transcendental features of devotional service. By the greatness of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, my mind has become clear. And if I am now trying to understand the nature of devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Bhattacharya recommended that I see you in order to understand Krishna. Indeed, he said that you are the only person who knows something about love of Krishna. Therefore, I have come to you upon the recommendation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Please then do not hesitate to relate to me all the confidential affairs between Radha and Krishna. In
Thank you,
this way,
Mataji.
Lord, thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Very good. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he wants to hear from Ramananda Rai, and he himself is saying that since he's taken sannyas from the Bharati cult, right? So he's saying I'm a Mayavadi sannyasi, so I want to understand the glory of Radha and Krishna, and who else is a better person than you, O Ramananda Rai? Because Sarva Bhattacharya has recommended you to me, that I come and ask about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna from you. And what is Ramananda Rai saying? Ramananda Rai is actually Lalita or Vishaka Devi, right, in Krishna Leela. So what is he saying? He's saying, I am simply telling like a parrot, whatever you want to hear, whatever the Lord wants, right? Everybody become an instrument to serve the Lord. So whatever the Lord wanted to hear, right? In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is explained how I am Ramananda Rai saying, I am the veena and you are stringing me, right? Whatever notes you are playing, those notes are actually coming out of my mouth, like that Ramananda Rai is saying, right? Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, so he just wants to hear from a pure devotee of the Lord, who is Ramananda Rai. All right, Sindhu Mataji, go ahead.
Mataji, Hare Krishna, pranams Mataji.
Hare Krishna, pranams Mataji.
Hare Krishna. In this way, from there.
Yes.
In this way, Lord Chaitanya actually took the subordinate position before Ramananda Raya. This has very great significance. One who is serious about understanding the transcendental nature of Krishna should approach a person who is actually enriched with Krishna consciousness. One should not be proud of his material birth, material opulence, material education, and material beauty, and with these things try to conquer the mind of an advanced student of Krishna consciousness. One who thus goes to a Krishna conscious person, thinking that he would be favorably induced, is under a misconception about the science. One should approach a Krishna conscious person with all humility, put relevant questions to him, and not challenge him. If one were to challenge him, such a highly elevated Krishna conscious person would not be available to receive any tangible service. A challenging, puffed up person cannot gain anything from a Krishna conscious man. He simply remains in material consciousness. Although Lord Chaitanya was born in a high Brahmana family and was situated in the highest professional state of sannyasa, he nonetheless showed by his behavior that even an elevated person would not hesitate to take lessons from Ramananda Raya, although Ramananda appeared as a householder situated in a social status beneath that of a Brahmana. Thus, Lord Chaitanya clearly showed that a sincere student never cares whether his spiritual master is born in a high Brahmana family or Kshatriya family, or whether he's a high-grade sannyasi, a brahmachari, or whatever. Whoever can teach one about the science of Krishna is to be accepted as a guru.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. We will start the next chapter. So only one point that we see here is Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, Shudra Kenanaya, say Krishna Tattva, say Guru Haya. Whoever understands the Tattva about Krishna in the right way, such a person is qualified to become a Guru and preach the message of Krishna consciousness to everyone. And who gets the right kind of understanding? Tadvedi Pranipatena, Pariprashnena Sevaya, Upadekshanti Te Jnana, Jnaninas Tattva Darshinaha. One who has received the transcendental knowledge from a bona fide spiritual master will be able to understand the message as it is from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is able to pass on this message to others in the bona fide disciplic succession. So that is the only qualification, to receive the knowledge in parampara, to accept the knowledge as it is completely, without mental concoction, without mental speculation, and to give this knowledge to others according to our limited realization. By this, we will become dear to Krishna, and Krishna will reveal himself to us. All right, so let's move forward. Next chapter. Chapter number 31, the Supreme Perfection. Okay, we will study till 1:45 and then we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, Shri Priya Mataji, or is Sindhu Mataji, you're able to You want to continue reading chapter 31? And then we will have Shri Priya Mataji and then Anusha Mataji also read.
Yes, Mataji, sure. Chapter 31, the Supreme Perfection. Whatever position one may have, if he is fully conversant with the signs of Krishna consciousness, he can become a bona fide spiritual master, an initiator or a teacher of the signs. In other words, one can become a bona fide spiritual master if he has sufficient knowledge of the signs of Krishna consciousness. Becoming such a spiritual master does not depend on a particular position in society or on birth. This is the conclusion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it is in accordance with the Vedic injunctions. On the strength of this conclusion, Lord Chaitanya, previously known as Vishwambara, accepted a spiritual master, Ishwarapuri, who was a sannyasi. Similarly, Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Acharya also accepted a sannyasi as their spiritual master, namely Madhavendra Puri, who was a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. Similarly, another great Acharya, Sri Rasikananda, accepted Sri Shyamananda as a spiritual master. Although Shyamananda was not born in a Brahmana family, so also did Ganga Narayana Chakravarti accept Narottama Dasha Thakur as a spiritual master. In ancient days, there was even a hunter named Dharma who became a spiritual master for many people. There are clear instructions in the Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam 7.11.32 stating that a person should be accepted as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra according to his personal qualifications and not his birth. For example, if a man is born in a Brahmana family, but his personal qualifications are those of a Shudra, he should be accepted as a Shudra. Similarly, if a person is born in a Shudra family but has the qualifications of a Brahmana, he should be accepted as a Brahmana. All Shastric injunctions as well as the versions of great sages and authorities establish that the bona fide spiritual master is not necessarily a Brahmana by caste. The only qualification is that he be conversant with the signs of Krishna consciousness. That alone makes one perfectly eligible to become a spiritual master. This is the conclusion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his discussions with Ramananda Raya. The Hari Bhakti Vilasa stated that if one bona fide spiritual master is born in a Brahminical family and another qualified spiritual master is born in a Shudra family, one should accept the one who is born in a Brahmana family. This statement serves as a social compromise, but it has nothing to do with spiritual understanding. This injunction is applicable only for those who consider social status more important than spiritual status. It is not for people who are spiritually serious. The serious person would accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction that anyone conversant with the signs of Krishna must be accepted as a spiritual master, regardless of his social position. There is an injunction in the Padma Puran which states that so highly elevated, spiritually advanced devotee of the Lord may have been born in a family of dog eaters, he can be a spiritual master, but that a highly elevated person born in a Brahmana family cannot be a spiritual master unless he is a devotee of the Lord. A person born in a Brahmana family may be conversant with all of the rituals of the Vedic scriptures, but if he is not a pure devotee, he cannot be a spiritual master. In all Shastras, the chief qualification of a bona fide spiritual master is that he be conversant with the signs of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So that is a test. If a person is conversant with Krishna Tattva, if he understands the Krishna Tattva properly, he can become a spiritual master and he can share that without adding, subtracting, multiplication or division of his own mental concoctions, right? He presents the truth as it is, as he's received it from his spiritual master, like that. Okay, Shri Priya Mataji, go ahead. Lord Chaitanya therefore requested.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams.
Hare Krishna, pranam.
Lord Chaitanya therefore requested Ramananda Raya to go on teaching him without hesitation, not considering Lord Chaitanya's position as a sannyas. Thus, Lord Chaitanya urged him to continue speaking on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Because you are asking me to speak of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, Ramananda Raya humbly submitted. I will obey your order. I will speak in whatever way you like. Thus, Ramananda Raya humbly submitted himself as a puppet before Lord Chaitanya and a puppet master. He only wanted to dance according to the will of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He compared his tongue to a stringed instrument, saying, "You are the player of that instrument." Thus, Lord Chaitanya would play, Ramananda Raya would vibrate the sound. Ramananda Raya said that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all incarnation and the cause of all causes. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, innumerable incarnations and expansions of the Supreme Lord, and innumerable universes also. And of all these existence, the Supreme Lord Krishna is the only source. His transcendenting body is composed of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And he is known as the son of Maharaja Nanda and the inhabitant of Goloka Vrindavan. He is full with 6 opulences, all wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. In the Brahma Samhita 5.1, it is confirmed that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the Lord of all lords, and that his transcendental body is Nanda. No one is the source of Krishna, but Krishna is the source of everyone. He is the supreme cause of all causes and resident of Vrindavan. He is also very attractive, just like Cupid. One can worship him by the Kama Gayatri mantra. In the Brahma Samhita, the transcendental land of Vrindavan is described as being always spiritual. That spiritual land is populated by the goddess of fortune, who are known as gopis. These are all beloved of Krishna. The Krishna is the only lover of all those gopis. The trees of that land are all desire trees. You can have anything you want from any tree. The land is made of touchstone, and water is nectar. In that land, all speech is song, all walking is dancing, and the constant companion is the flute. Everything is self-illuminated, just like the sun and the moon in this material world. The human form of life is meant for understanding this transcendental land of Vrindavan. And one who is fortunate should cultivate knowledge of Vrindavan and its residents. In that supreme abode of Krishna are Surabhi cows who overflood the land with milk. Since not even a moment there is misused, there is no past, present, or future. An expansion of that Vrindavana is present on this earth, and superior devotees worship the earthly Vrindavana as non-different from the supreme abode. No one can appreciate Vrindavana without being highly elevated in the spiritual knowledge. Krishna consciousness, spiritual knowledge, Krishna consciousness. According to ordinary experience, Vrindavana appears to be just like an ordinary tract of land, but in the eyes of highly elevated devotee, it is as good as the original Vrindavan. A great saintly Acharya has sung, "When will my mind be cleared of all dirty things, so that I will be able to see Vrindavana as it is, and then I will be able to understand the literature left by the 6 Goswamis, so that I will be able to understand the transcendental pastimes of Radha and Krishna."
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare. So this Narottam Das Thakur actually sings this. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Kabihama Bujabo Sejugala Piriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahumora Sha Prarthana Kuro E Sadha Narottam Dasa Rupa Raghunatha Pate Hoibe Akuti Kabihama Bujabo Sejugala Piriti. Yeah. So Rupa Raghunatha Pade, right? So Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Dasa Goswami. Narottam Das Thakur is saying, when will I be able to view that Vrindavan Dham? Right? As is described by Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Dasa Goswami. Right? They live in every different trees in each of the days they spend in Vrindavan Dham. Every night they spend under each different tree. Right? The darshan that they have of the actual Vrindavan Dham. When will I get to see that Vrindavan Dham? Isn't it? So, generally, if we go to Vrindavan Dham, what we see is what our external senses can perceive, what our external eyes can see. But that is not what Narottam Das Thakur is praying in this song. In the song, Narottam Das Thakur is singing, let me see the actual Vrindavan Dham. How can we see the actual Vrindavan Dham? Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hradeshu Vilokyanti. We may be in any part of the world, but if we have the eyes of love, which is, the anjana of love, right, that we apply in our eyes, then wherever we are, we'll be able to see Vrindavan Dham, we'll be able to see Vrindavan Krishna. So that is what is mentioned here, right? If you are elevated in spiritual knowledge, if you are an elevated devotee, then we will see Vrindavan wherever. Yeah, Stavara Jangame Deki Tara Murti, right? Not seeing anything else other than Lord Shri Krishna and everything that we see, even in this material world, right? So that is how we need to develop the transcendental eyes to understand the transcendental pastimes of Radha and Krishna. All right, let's move forward. Anusha Mataji, go ahead. We'll end with, we'll end with you like 2-3 paragraphs. We'll study and then we'll end. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Srila
Hare
Prabhupada ki. The loving affairs between Krishna and the gopis in Vrindavana are also transcendental. Such affairs appear like the ordinary lusty affairs of the material world, but there is a gulf of difference between the moods of Vrindavana and those of this material world. In the material world, there may be the temporary awakening of lust, but it disappears after so-called satisfaction. But in the spiritual world, the love between the gopis and Krishna is constantly increasing. That is the difference between the love in the transcendental world and the lust in the material world. The lust or so-called love arising out of this body is as temporary as the body itself. But the love arising from the eternal soul in the spiritual world is on the spiritual platform. And since the spirit soul is eternal, that love is also eternal. Therefore, Krishna is addressed as the evergreen Cupid. Can I continue, Mataji?
Yeah, go ahead. Next 2-3 paragraphs.
Lord Krishna is worshipped by the Gayatri mantra, and the specific mantra by which he is worshipped is called Kama Gayatri. The Vedic literature explains that the sound vibration which can elevate one from mental concoction is called Gayatri. The Kama Gayatri mantra is composed of 24.5 syllables. Thus, Mataji, if you can say it.
Klim Kama Devaya Vidmahe Pushpabanaaya Dhimahi Tanno Ananga Prachodayat.
Thank you so much, Mataji. This Kama Gayatri is received from the spiritual master when the disciple is advancing in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In other words, this Kama Gayatri mantra and samskara or reformation of a perfect Brahmana are offered by the spiritual master when he sees that his disciple is advanced in spiritual knowledge. Even then, the Kama Gayatri is not uttered under certain circumstances. In any case, the chanting of Hare Krishna is sufficient to elevate one to the highest spiritual platform. In the Brahma Samhita, a nice description of the sound of Krishna's flute is given. When Krishna began to play on his flute, the sound vibration entered into the ear of Brahma as the Vedic mantra Om. This Om is composed of 3 letters, A, U, and Ma. And it describes our relationship with the Supreme Lord, our activities by which we can achieve the highest perfection of love and the actual position of love on the spiritual platform. When the sound vibration of Krishna's flute is expressed through the mouth of Brahma, it becomes Gayatri. Thus, by being influenced with the sound vibration of Krishna's flute, Brahma, the supreme creator and first living entity of this material world, was initiated as a Brahmana. That Brahma was initiated as a Brahmana by the flute of Krishna is confirmed by Srila Jiva Goswami. When Brahma was enlightened by the Gayatri mantra through Krishna's flute, he attained all Vedic knowledge. Acknowledging the benediction offered to him by Krishna, he became the original spiritual master of all living entities. The word Klim added to the Gayatri mantra is explained in the Brahma Samhita as the transcendental seed of love of Godhead or the seed of the Kama Gayatri. The object is Krishna, who is the evergreen Cupid, and by the utterance of Klim, Krishna is worshipped. It is also stated in the Gopalatapani Upanishad that when Krishna is spoken of as Cupid, one should not think of him as the Cupid of this material world. As already explained, Vrindavana is the spiritual abode of Krishna, and thus the word Cupid is also spiritual and transcendental when applied to Krishna. One should not take the material Cupid and Krishna to be on the same level. The material Cupid increases the attraction of the external flesh and body, but the spiritual Cupid increases the attraction of the super soul exerts upon the individual soul. Actually, lust and the sex urge are there in spiritual life, but when the spirit soul is embodied in material elements, that spiritual urge is expressed through the material body and is therefore pervertedly reflected. One who actually becomes conversant with the signs of Krishna consciousness can understand that his material desire for sex is abominable, whereas spiritual sex is desirable.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So we'll stop here. So here, Yamunacharya, right? He says that when he's coming to Krishna consciousness and he's chanting these, and he's experiencing transcendental bliss in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he wants to spit at the thought of material sex desire, right? But that material sex desire, pleasure is considered to be the highest pleasure of this material world, right? But when one is experiencing the pleasure, the spiritual pleasure of chanting Hare Krishna, such sex pleasure, which is the highest pleasure of this material world, also becomes like one spits at the thought of it also, right? So in this way, there is a gulf of difference between the bliss that is experienced by spiritual ecstasy and the temporary pleasure or happiness or whatever the term that we use for material pleasure, right? So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada is actually explaining to us that although the attraction, see, we are having this kind of attraction because the source of everything is Krishna. We cannot have something that is not present in Krishna. Everything has its source in Krishna. But whatever Krishna does is spiritual. And when that perverted reflection, when we try to become enjoyers, while our constitutional position is that of the servant, when we try to become enjoyer and we try to imitate the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then in the perverted reflection, everything becomes lust. But when you are situated in our constitutional position, in the constitutional position of being the servant of the servant of the servant, and want to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we are reawakening the natural love that is reposed in the heart of the living entity, which is covered over because of all our anarthas, and thereby is projecting as lust. Right? So when our heart becomes cleansed by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then the love that is already there in our heart, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Karaya Udaya, will arise in our heart. The love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead will arise in our heart, and then every step is a dance and every word is a song, because everything is done for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. With that, we will conclude for today. Tomorrow we will continue chapter number 31, and then we'll try to complete chapter number 32. Let's see how much we're able to do it. Otherwise, we'll continue on Monday. Right? We'll quickly do 2 minutes Harinam Sankirtan, and then we'll have darshan of the devotees, and then we'll end our session. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtadyadeshodharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jai Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jaya Jai Sudarshan Jaya Bala Gopal Jai Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Jai Radha Ras Bihari Pancha Tattva Jaya Radhe Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Gurudev Gurudev Jai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Prabhupada Shri Gurudev ki jai. Nidai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Vanchakal Patrobhyascha Prabha Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada Shri Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you, Sridhar Prabhu, Harjeet Mataji, Shumangi Mataji, Shubha Mataji, Rajneesh Prabhu, Karpapali Mataji, Anusha Mataji, Sindhu Mataji, Shri Priya Mataji, Sarvagopeshwari Mataji, Sudha Mataji, and all the devotees. Thank you very much for joining in. Tomorrow we will meet at 5 a.m. for chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra during the auspicious Brahma Muhurta time, and then we meet at 12:30 p.m. We continue chapter number 31, and we'll see if we can complete chapter 32. Otherwise, we will continue on Monday, and then we will continue with Bhagavad Gita after that. And our next book we will start next week, which is Krishna book. by His Divine Grace, Abhicharanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we understood from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya how we need to love Krishna by following instructions of Krishna through following instructions of Guru and Gauranga. And then now we will go into actual loving reciprocation between the pure devotees of the Lord, Ragatmika Bhaktas and Lord Sri Krishna, as we go through the pages of Krishna book, as given to us by His Divine Grace, Abhicharanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you very much.